to the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale, and that's where I met Christopher. Everybody has a different body. Can we not just love each other for the way that we are? I was screaming on the floor, had to go to the hospital. What's up, guys? So I wanted to do my More About Me video. I wanted to share more about myself. I know as a blogger, you're constantly sharing a curated, you know what I'm trying to say here. You know, you curate your photos and everything looks so beautiful. Not many people want to share ugly pictures of themselves or picture of them with no makeup and their hair all destroyed and their kids crying. You know, obviously kids cry, but just when anything not happy or beautiful is happening, my first thought is not to take a picture. But when something is going well or I've got a cute outfit on, my first thought is like, hey, let me snap a photo of this. This is kind of what I do for a living anyways. So today I just want to take a little bit of time and share more about myself so you guys can get to know me. I've talked a lot about how I have Crohn's, and I think a lot of you might be confused of like really where I'm from, because when we moved back to Florida, I had always talked like, oh, I gotta go back home, that's where my home is, blah, blah, blah. So maybe some of you are thinking that Florida is my home, when I was really just born here and raised in Georgia. So let's just start from there. Born at Holy Cross Hospital here in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. My parents moved to Conyers, Georgia. Yeah, Conyers, Georgia, which is south of Atlanta, when I was like 3, I believe. My younger brother, Dallas, he's 2 years younger than I am. And so it was me and my brother, my mom and my dad, and we moved to Georgia and left all of my family here. Obviously, we went and visited every break I had from school. We went every summer. I spent my entire summers with my grandparents. Now, my grandmother, whom I call Jammer, and my grandfather, Papa, he passed away 5 years ago now, 4. I still get a little, like my heart starts beating really fast when I talk about it. My grandparents have always been my best friends, so I would spend every summer with them, and I just always felt like Florida was more of my home than Georgia. I didn't really like living in Georgia. I mean, when I was a little girl, you really can't say, oh, I hate it here. I didn't know any better other than that I missed my family. That was really it. So as I got older, I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease. Now, before I was diagnosed with Crohn's, I had gone through crazy pain, like the type of pain where I was screaming on the floor, had to go to the hospital to get morphine in order for the pain to stop. My parents were like petrified of what was going on. Nobody could tell me what was going on. I would just know that I was in an extreme amount of pain. I've given birth twice, and nothing compares to that pain. Not the birth pain I'm talking about. Nothing compares to the pain I was feeling when I was maybe 11 or 12. I think that's when it started. And it didn't stop until one year I was in so much pain. My dad and I were on a trip to Florida and to visit. He had to go for work, so we were visiting my grandparents. We were staying with them, and I was just like really in so much pain. I had passed out. It was awful. So he takes me to the emergency room, and it was, they went in, I think it's called like with a scope of some sort. What are those surgeries called where they just cut you small little lines and then they go in and with like the machine does the surgery or something, because they thought it was my appendix. Turns out it wasn't my appendix. Closed me up. A couple years go by and I am in Florida. My brother is there and I'm just like really, really, really sick. So my grandmother takes me to the hospital and we're in the emergency room and they go to do a CAT scan to see like kind of what's going on, and I'll just skip to it, didn't go well, and I got really sick, so they rushed me to the emergency, like ER, what is it called? Emergency surgical, where, you know, it's like a big line of sheets and everybody's in beds waiting to go into surgery. I just remember like being in so much pain. They gave me this stuff so that I just started to relax, and I just remember feeling like my body was just stopping. And woke up, and the surgeon that was on call that night saved my life. Cut me from, I'll show you, from here down to here. And basically I was filling up, I had a meckel diverticulum which ruptured, and it was filling up my intestines, my body, that's why my stomach was so distended. I remember like feeling like, oh my God, I know I'm not pregnant. This is bizarre. And I was just filling up and filling up. I don't know what the name is for it. It's just, I know that it's like toxic, whatever it is that, you know, the meckel ruptured, and whatever it was filled with or whatever, it was toxic to your body. So I was basically going, what is the word? I still don't know the word for it. It's like I was going to be, you know, like my body was going to go in shock, I suppose. Anyways, they took out all of my intestines, everything. Like they just pulled it all out and had to clean it and try and find out what was going on. So I had that taken out, resection. They went ahead and took my appendix out while they were there, and they did say, yeah, you are for sure, you definitely have Crohn's. But all along I had this damn meckel, whatever the hell that is. I mean, obviously I've researched it, but still, a damn meckel causing all that pain. It's crazy. So weird, right? So I thought after the surgery, I thought that I would just be healed and there would be no problem and I wouldn't be in pain anymore. So that's what I thought. I ended up actually having something called a wound vac after my surgery. I guess there was so much infection they couldn't close me up. So you saw how large that scar was. Basically, I was left open. They did not close me. A wound vac it was awful. I was awful. My grandmother, she was a trooper. She took care of me through it all. So wound vac is, they take like a black piece of surgical foam, surgical grade, whatever foam, and they cut it to the size of your incision and they place it on top, and then a big plastic sheet goes on top of it, and a suction, like a cord hooked up to a machine, is placed in the middle of it, and you turn that switch on and it sucks right inside of your incision. I guess it's to keep it dry and to help it heal and close. So every other day a nurse had to come to the house and literally rip it out and redo it. And when I say rip it out, like there's no other way to take a piece of foam that is like gotten inside of you other than to rip it. So that was fabulous. I've gone through a lot of shit and pain in my lifetime. More than I thought would be going on with someone my age. I was 16, supposed to be, in school, having fun, and I couldn't go back to school for my senior year. I was just, after that, it takes a long time to heal. So yeah, that happened. But really all my life I've been thin, right? So this is more about me. This is what I really wanted to talk about because I do get comments about my weight. And while I get some people could be concerned, I don't think that you can really concern yourself with someone else's, body or health unless you are their doctor or their family. I get comments from people, and I know they're trying to understand both sides, saying, that person was just trying to check on you. There are people who have eating disorders. I just wanted to see if you were okay, blah, blah, blah. It's like, First of all, I don't have an eating disorder, but I can guarantee you if somebody had an eating disorder and they had a stranger say, "Are you okay?" And like try and nudge more into it, that person would just not listen. You know, so that isn't a good, valid excuse in my opinion. You know, it's like you're really not going to help. You are, as much as I love to connect with all of you and call you all my friends, you really don't, we aren't on that level. Essentially, like we've never met. So essentially we are strangers. And I don't want that to come off wrong. That's not how I mean it at all. It's just, you cannot comment on someone's weight, especially if you know nothing about them or their background, which is why I'm making this video, so you can understand me more. And, you know, it's a double standard. Nobody would ever write someone or comment on their picture and say, "Hey, it looks like you're getting larger or you're gaining some weight. Are you okay?" Or, "Hey, go eat a salad." People say to me, like, "Go eat a hamburger," or something. It's like, "Honey, I eat a hamburger for lunch and a steak for dinner. Like, what do you want from me?" There's nothing else I can do. My body just won't gain weight. Obviously, because I have, you know, part of it is because I have Crohn's and my body does not absorb the way your body does. So I can't gain weight. I've tried. My dad is tall and thin. So not only is it my DNA, how I was created, I cannot gain weight. I am supposed to be tall and thin. That is my body type. That's how I will always be. That's how my dad has been his whole life. And now he's 63 and he's still tall and thin. It's just, everybody has a different body. Can we not just love each other for the way that we are? Because I know I'm working on loving myself. It has taken a long time because of instances where I feel insecure. I mean, come on. How can somebody not feel insecure if they're told that they're too thin? You know, as much as I want to pretend like I'm just so secure with myself and I love being thin and I love myself, like there are still moments where I feel like SHIT. I remember being bullied in middle school because I was so thin. First of all, I went to a private small school where there was like 20 to 30 kids in each class, and each class was a grade. So there were 30 kids tops in 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade. It was from like a preschool to 12th grade situation. And you know, a small private school, there are people who think that they are just lovely and everybody else isn't. I have been bullied a lot in my life. Not literally someone coming up and like physically hurting me, but you know, verbally bullied. I had a best friend that had a friend where I'll never forget. It was so funny. Back in the day of MySpace, where you would go on, what was that called? Where you would write your like statuses, but you could literally write like a huge page or whatever you want to do. I think you could even add pictures. So anyways, I wrote, "Oh, I just got my braces today." And this girl literally writes back and says, "Good, they fit your face." Now, if that happened to me now, I'd be like, "Are you serious? Are you drunk? What does that, like, you sound..." If it happened to me now, I'd be embarrassed for that person. But of course, back then when I was in 8th grade, I was sad and embarrassed, you know, for myself. So, you know, comments on my weight or just generally being bullied happened a lot for me. And then I got into high school and I didn't care anymore. I started to give 0 FUCKs, and that's when things started getting better for me, other than my surgery and ultimately leaving that private school and then going to a public school for a year. That was a SHIT show. That was a shit show. Oh my God. Wow. Those kids at that school were animals. Like, I didn't realize, I was so sheltered at small private school, I didn't realize that kids acted that way. Like, why do you have to act that way? I don't get it. So anyways, this is about me, not about my high schools. Basically, I tried going to college in Georgia twice and it didn't work out. I've never been good at school. I have never actually finished college. That's how terrible I am at school. I am terrible, terrible, terrible. Cannot take tests, cannot memorize anything. I already have a really bad memory. Like, I can't remember things very well. So school was not for me, and I went to Florida. That's when I decided I'm just gonna move. I'm 19, I'm 20 now. I was 20 when I decided I should move to Florida and try living there, because all my life as a little girl I was like, I want to move back, I want to move back and be with my family. So I did, and I went to the Art Institute of Fort Lauderdale, and that's where I met Christopher. And I guess being there, he was going for photography. He realized, he was like, I really love this girl, I want to have a family, and I don't think I can support a family with a photography degree. So he said, let's move to South Carolina, where he was going to school. He was going to Coastal Carolina, and he recently graduated, which is why we got to move back to Florida when he was done with school. So we lived there for a little while, and I was like, I really miss living in Florida. We had so much fun together. That's where we met, and we had so much fun. We're always doing things. My best friend, Allie, when she lived here, now she lives in New York. She's doing her thing as a stylist. But when she lived here, we had so much fun. Like, I always tell myself, I wish I would have started my blog when I lived here, because that's when I was actually interesting and fun, and I could share cool things and stories. I mean, I walked in fashion shows. I went to Jacksonville Fashion Week, and I walked in it, which is not like crazy. It's not New York Fashion Week or, anything insane, but I have something I'm proud of. And I had friends that were amazing designers, and we put on fashion show productions as part of our classes at the Art Institute. That was so cool. It's just, we were always doing something kick-ass. And I had so much fun, and I just wish, I kicked myself in the butt. I'm like, I wish I would have started my blog. We did some cool stuff. So now we're back. I had 2 babies, and we're back in Florida. It feels good. I don't remember it being this hot, but it's very hot. Chris's job, he works all the way in Miami, and we live about an hour and a half north of Miami, so it's a long travel time for him. It's long, so we're just kind of figuring out what we're gonna do next, where we're gonna go. But yeah, that's me. I feel like I touched on as much as I could. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you learned a little bit more about me. Maybe we have some things in common, or just anything you want to talk to me about. Make sure you always reach out to me. I'm always available. Email me, comment on this video, follow me on Instagram. You can comment on my pictures. I always respond. I love hearing from you guys. Thank you again for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe to my channel. I love you guys.